So Sweat to the Beat is the dance fitness class that gives you the chance to become the dancer you never knew you were, and to release the inner dancer you never knew you had. That's how I frame the class and explain what the class is, and that's the slogan of my company, Release the Inner Dancer, because Sweat to the Beat is all about, like, when you know, sometimes when you hear that song and you're in your kitchen or you're in your car and the beat just hits and you just want to break loose, and it doesn't matter who's watching, who's looking, like you're just lost in the music. And that's what I try to do in a Sweat to the Beat dance class. And that's what I want people to feel in a Sweat to the Beat dance class. It doesn't matter if you miss a beat, if you miss a step, if you like just want to make up your own little move. That's cool. I absolutely love it when people in a class, they just break free, and sometimes they do start doing their own things, and I'm looking in the mirror, looking at them behind me, and I'm like, yes. And it just makes me smile so much to see people so happy dancing. Okay, so I kind of told you already what the environment is and how I want people to feel in the class, and um, yeah, all of that stuff. But what actually happens in a class? So a class is generally an hour long, maybe 50 minutes. We start with a warm up, using dynamic moves, or dynamic stretches to warm up the body, to warm up the joints. We then do an easy to follow routine. Um, and during the class, the routines gets a little bit more challenging. Sometimes I face the class. Generally, during the warm up, I will face the class because it's good to build up a rapport in that way and see the lovely smiling faces. Um, and then when we move on to the other routines, I will break down some of the harder moves before we get into doing the song. So it's not like an aerobics class where you just generally just get into the routines, and we don't generally have any of these kind of moves in Sweat to the Beat. Yeah, you don't just go straight into the routines. I will go through some of the harder moves, sometimes the first 8 count. I will never ever ever go through the whole routine without the music and then get on to doing the routine. I only ever go through some of the harder steps, so that when it gets to it, people are like, oh yeah, she sure does this. I've got that. I know that. And it's always good to come back to class. Don't ever give up on your first week, because I keep the songs in for 6 weeks minimum. Sometimes we keep them kept in for longer because people want to get better at it, or they like a particular song, and I'll keep it for a little bit longer. And once people are really good at it, they absolutely love it and they get into it. So that some people love it from the start, but it's a challenge. Dance is a challenge. Dance definitely um, wakes up, your brain, to get your limbs and arms, and your arms are your limbs, but get moving in coordination. So where was I lost track of thought. So yes, start off with an easy routine. We then build to what I call a pulse racer or a lose your breath song. So literally by the end of it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? But it's for your body to beg for what we call the breather song. So the breather song, I try to do it as like a throwback song. Um, a breather song, you can either, you know, chill with it to get your breath back, or you can really still stay there and keep your heart rate up. But it brings the heart rate down a little bit for you to just have literally a breather before we move into another song. So then generally after the breather song, I'll move on to what I call the performance song. So this is a song that will literally take probably a minimum of 3 weeks to kind of get into it and understand the moves properly. And we take our time a little bit more with that song. So if anyone's seen the Beyonce challenge video that I posted, that I did at Energy Fitness with 2 of my classes, that's kind of what a performance song is. So then after the performance song, we'll do some like kind of fun songs where the moves might be a little bit more silly, or kind of you just get into it and you're like, hey, okay, and you just chill with it. And then we have a song that gets the pulse down, the heart rate down as we move into the cool down. Um, and then, yeah, we're cooling down. And then we have a cool down song, so it's even slower than the pulse lowerer. Is that a word? And then we do our stretches. And generally, the music that I use is hip hop, R&B, soca, Afro beats, Afro soca, sometimes urban Latin. Every now and then I will throw in a pop song. So we've had some Sam Mendes, we've had some Little Mix, yeah. Uh, so yeah, that's what to the beat class.